Morning, excuse me. Morning, Jeff Williams, Veterans United Against Suicide. Had a request last night from a lady who wanted to know a little bit more about why I joined the Royal Marines, which is a really interesting story. So I'm going to try and do it justice. I joined up in January of 1974, 92 Troop. Junior Marines, and the story really starts before that, because I went up to the careers office with two of my buddies from Birmingham, from Chelmsley Wood. Didn't know much about the Corps, if I'm brutally honest with you. I'd watched the odd war movie, as all kids of that age had. And I think I lived in a little bit of a fantasy world in a lot of ways. We went down to New Street, where the careers office was, and the three of us went in, open mind. I think I had the Navy in mind. I fancied being on the ship and travelling around the world. You know, the old girl in every port type thing. So we went in there anyway, and this bloke pulled us to one side. Had a chat with us and one thing and another. And I was stood there, minding my own business, looking at these guys. They were quite young, but they were old. For me, they were quite old. I mean, they were probably about 25 or 26. And when you're 18 or 17 and a half, whatever I was, people of that age do seem a lot older, a lot more mature. Anyway, got pulled to one side. And then this bloke walked in, and he was in Lovitz. The blokes in the Corps know what rig that is, with medals. And he walked past, and I don't think I've ever seen a bigger bloke, and I was just completely awestruck by this guy. He was absolutely massive. I don't know his name, and it really annoys me that I don't. But anyway, he walked past, and he must have caught me looking at him, and he sort of gave me that sort of steely-eyed Royal Marine glare, and I thought, whoops. Eyes front, and he come walking over. Well, if I'm honest, I nearly pooed myself, but he come over and he stood over me, towered over me, and he goes, "What's your name?" I said, "Jeff Williams." He goes, "Jeff, I've got some news for you." I said, "What's that?" "Sir," I think I called him, and he went, "I'm not a sir, I'm a colours, and I work for a living." I think he said something like that anyway. That's what I used to say. And he looked at me, looked me up and down. Now, I was the school football captain. I was a school cricket captain. Could turn my hands to any sports. But I was quite slight as well. I wasn't massively built. And he looked at me, and he went, "I've got some news for you, son." I said, "What's that, sir, again?" "So you're not very bright, are you?" I said, "No." Good judge of character. And then he said, I think, no, he didn't say I think. He said, "You're going to join the Royal Marines." And I went, "What?" He said, I said, "What's the Royal Marines?" He said, "What's the Royal Marines?" And he started reeling off every battle on it we've ever had. So I was put in my place quite quickly. Anyway, I had a medical, and they asked me to come back. Gave me a load of war-y type brochures, and I took them home, and I showed my dad. Now, my dad, my hero, sadly he's not with us now, but he was my inspiration throughout my younger life. Man mountain, boxing champion, black belt in karate, not karate, in judo. He could do anything and everything. So I went home, and he'd done 2 years national service, but during his national service, all he had done, apparently according to Mum, was the skyve or box for the army. He ended up being, I think he told me he was welterweight. You boxers can tell me more about that. He was a welterweight champion. And I brought these books back, and I started flicking through them, and Dad said, "Where you been?" So I went up to the careers office, Dad, with Tony Bloomfield and Stuart McHugh. He went, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What are you doing that for?" I said, "Well, Because my dad used to always say when we were growing up, whenever we were naughty, bloody army will sort you out, he used to say. So I took his advice and went up. But anyway, he caught me looking at the brochures. He said, pass them over here. So I passed them over. And he goes, Royal Marine Commandos. He says, you serious? So he starts flicking through. He said, you know what? You got to do a 9 miler. You got to do 4 miler. You got to do 9 miler. You got to do a Tarzan assault course. You got to do the endurance course. You got to do the 30 miler. Blah 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 blah. He said the ropes, 30-foot ropes, fireman's carry. He went, nah. He said, pick something a bit easier. I said, Dad, but the bloke said they're the best. And he went, well, yeah. And he told me not to do it. And when I think about it now, well, I spoke to him quite a few times after, once I joined up, because he was so chuffed once I actually passed out of training. But his concerns was that if I didn't make it, I was going to have to come back to Chelmsley Wood and the family having failed. And he was concerned about that. And quite rightly so, I think, thinking about it. But anyway, he said I couldn't go and I couldn't join up, because I think before 18 you have to have the parents' permission. So I went back up to New Street, and the colour sergeant was there again, and as soon as he seen me, come straight over. He was a really lovely bloke. He said, you know, so have you got your signed documents? I went, no. I said, Dad won't sign them. He said, what? He won't sign them. He's a bit worried about one thing or another. He goes, where do you live? I said, 33 Beach Avenue, Chelmsley Wood. He went, right. What's your phone number? 012 1694 5574. Used to be. And I don't know how I remembered that. It just come off the top of me. 012 770 4914, yeah. So he phoned up, and my mum answered and passed him on to my dad. And my dad said, look, I'm really impressed with Jeff's attitude. He's got, you know, he's just got all we're looking for in the Corps. Can I come down and speak to you about it? And Dad said, yeah, of course. Because my dad was very disciplined. And anyway, a couple of days later, sat in the front room, my little sister Michelle looking through the curtains, and this massive bloke comes walking down our little tiny driveway, knocks on the door. Well, when my dad sees him and sees the size of him, it was like, Jesus Christ, Jeff, the size of him, it's an absolute mountain of a man. And our dad, like I say, he'd knock anybody out, but he didn't fancy his chances, I don't think. So the guy come in for a cup of coffee, you know, to chat, and I was left in the other room, and then I got called in. And within about 15 minutes, this bloke had persuaded me dad that I could join up. Now, the sad thing about it for me was that was in the March of the previous year, and they weren't recruiting massive numbers because the Corps was full, believe it or not. So we were 92 troop. There was no 91 troop, for example, and the previous troop before that was 90 and 89. I don't remember there being an 88. I think there was an 87. So it was a period where we weren't just rolling the troops in and out. And a lot of people were staying in the Corps for a lot longer as well back in them days. So anyway, I'm going to get crucified here, but I'm just going to guess. I think my salary when I joined Deal was 22 quid. Once all my deductions had been taken out, 22 quid. I think it was 22 quid a week, which was a massive amount of money for me. Couldn't believe it. And that was all spent on the kit. But sorry, I'm jumping forward. So I had about 9 months to wait. And, you know, people think I exaggerate, but this is the truth. This is 100% truth, what happened. On the day that I joined up, it was a train strike. And I couldn't get down to Deal. So they made alternative arrangements. And what they did was, most of my troop were Scottish. If I remember rightly. Something like 80% of them were Scottish. And when I had to go up to Birmingham New Street, I was met there and there was a Royal Marine minibus outside, which I was asked to get in the back of. I got in the back. There was already 2 lads in there. One was Mick Hibbard, who became my best friend in training, and one of my best mates, to be fair, one of my buddies, my best oppos. And we had to drive. He'd been driven in from Hereford to Birmingham, picked me up and somebody else, and then we went down to London. And when we got to London, there was 2 coaches down there, 2 50-seater are they, or something like that, 48-seater coaches, and they were full of Scotsmen. And me and Mick had to get on. Bear in mind, they travelled all the way down from Scotland together, so they're all having their little clique. And we turn on, these 2 English bloke and a Welsh bloke. We get on the coach. Nobody spoke to us for about 10 miles, 20 miles. So I don't know how long it was. Anyway, we get to Deal. Well, anybody can remember Deal, it was like a penal colony. We arrived, it was getting quite late. It was getting a bit dark. And you had, obviously, armed guards on the gate, which I'd never seen a bloke with a gun before, so that was quite impressive. Then there were all these guys peering through these, like, fence thing, what they call it now, the fence anyway. So, I love you, to the girls outside. All got skinheads, absolutely shaved to the wood. There wasn't a bloody hair on their head, and they looked absolutely evil. And that's what I was joining. So we gets to go in, and that's the first time we met our drill instructor bloke called Gorman, Taff Gorman, and he marched on. He was quite a slight guy, to be fair, but he absolutely immaculate. And he stood there, looked down the coach, and he went, right, you audible lot and all that, follow me. Or welcome to the Royal Marines. I can't remember the speech now, but I think it was that scared. You know, I thought it was quite tough, to be honest with you. But when I actually saw the toughest guy from Glasgow, the toughest guy from Govan, the toughest guy from here, toughest guy from there, all congregating in one place, it's quite humbling. And we marched into the gate. We all fell in. He said, right, 3 Lancs. We're like, what do you mean? You know, got long hair and bloody bell bottoms on and flares, and some guys had Dr. Martens on and Levi's and stuff. It was a right mess, and we all lined up. By the time I'd got to Deal, which was about, if I remember right, it was about 3 or 4 hour journey, I can't remember. But when we got there, I could speak Scottish, because all they used to say was, you ken na new. It's a bro brick moonlight night and eight, you know. I remember going on my first leave, and my mum said, what they done to you? You're talking jock? And I said, well, that's just over here, Mum. I'm surrounded by them. But anyway, first thing they did was they lined us all up, checked us all off, and then we had to go to the bedding store. And you see these cartoons, but it was true, it was like that. You had to carry your mattress, which was over your head, like flopped over the top of your head. On the one arm you had a pillow, you might have had 2 if you were lucky, pillowcases, then bloody horrible airy blanket things they used to supply, a mattress cover and 2 sheets. And then he started running, and we're all running along trying to hold this stuff. It's the funniest thing you've ever seen. People falling over, people dropping them, and all the rest of it. Up to our accommodation. The accommodation was on 3 floors, if I remember right, and we were on the top in a room called, I think it was 225, our room was. And we goes up there, and there were 6 beds in there, and that was my home for the next 20 weeks. So that's me getting into Deal. It's a massive shock. I mean, the Corps is a magnificent place. You know, it is daunting when you first get there. I mean, if I saw a Lance Corporal walking towards me, I'd cross the road rather than see him. And if I saw a bloody RSM or an officer, well, you know, with the officer at to salute, oh God, you know, it was like palpitations. It was really, really, you know, a massive culture shock from a guy who thought he knew everything and anything, always been top of the tree in sports and stuff. to Johnny Average. And that was the hardest thing. But anybody that's thinking to join the Corps, you know, look into it. It's a great way of life. You know, for the boys, it's fantastic, obviously. You know, you get the travel. I mean, I wasn't thinking, and this annoys me when people say, oh, you joined the Royal Marines because you wanted to fight people and kill people. No, never. And I don't know many people that did, if I'm honest with you. It's more the all the lads together, the comradeship, the friendships that you make, the travel. I could tell you a million stories about some of the tricks we got up to while we've been away. We've had a fantastic time. And then on the other side of the coin is all the boring moments when you're sitting around doing nothing and you feel like you're being piddled around just for the sake of being messed around. You know, you've got all that. But you make friends for life. And you know, you look at all the qualities of any serviceman, never mind the Corps, and it definitely changes you. It definitely indoctrinates you into a system. It does bring out the discipline. I'll just a quick one. I mean, every single day we were at Deal, there was always something to do. You know, it was never that you had one rig to get ready. It was always 3 or 4. You know, you might have PC in the morning. You had to blanco your pumps. We all had the same top, or same. I think we had a greeny type colour top with a white collar, white shorts that were like rugby shorts. So all that had to be ironed and cleaned. And then you'd always virtually have drill nearly every single day. So you love it, uniform would have to be absolutely immaculate. And what we learned to do, because they promote teamwork massively, but what we learned to do was we play to our strengths. So Mick, for example, was absolutely brilliant at ironing. So we used to do most of the ironing, all the shirts and stuff, so they were immaculate. Mick had been a cadet of some notoriety. Wrong. Just a good recruit, anyway. Cadet. So he was used to that sort of stuff. We had another guy who was really good on the weapons. So he used to strip and assemble and clean the weapons immaculate. There was another guy, I think I used to get the boots, generally speaking, the spit and polish and all that sort of stuff on the parade boots. But we all had our jobs and we used to get down to them. And then there would be, I mean, the floors in the barrack room, you could have ate off them. They were absolutely immaculate, highly polished wood. And what we used to do was, we used to have an inspection every evening. We used to put all the beds up so they rest on the headboard, so they were horizontal. And then on our hands and knees, with a button brush, they used to call it, we used to polish them floors. It used to take us bloody ages. There wasn't a speck of dust in the whole place. It just wasn't possible. And then the inspections were just really rigorous. And if you weren't up to standard, they let you know. And then periodically, they would just let you know anyway, just to say, well, you think you're there, but you're not. And I can remember one day where they made us take the whole room, lockers, beds and everything, and set the room out on the parade ground. And back in the day, every morning, because the band used to be at Deal as well, Duty Bandy used to march out and wake us all up with his bugle call. Not like later on, when I went back later on, they were doing it by a record, but back in the day, the Duty Bandy used to do it. And then when they brought the flag down in the evening, the same sort of procedure. But it's a wonderful life. It's character building. You'll never meet finer people than you in the military. It's great, and we look after each other afterwards as well. So that's a little story about me joining the Marines. A lot more, but if you want to know anything, just let me know. And you know, I've got no secrets. I'll let you know. Look after yourself. Jeff Williams from Veterans United Against Suicide. Remember the buddy checks. Keep looking after each other. Watch each other's back, and stay strong. And A little message to Maggie. You're doing brilliant, love. I'm very proud of you. Just keep it together. If you need me, I'm on the end of the phone. Bye bye. See you later.